From lamps that burn forever to vanishing villages and islands, here are 12 bizarre mysteries that are still unexplained. The tomb of Antony and Cleopatra. According to ancient writings, Cleopatra VII and Mark Antony were buried together in a tomb following their deaths. Plutarch, the Greek biographer and essayist, wrote that the tomb could be found near a temple of the Egyptian goddess Isis. Located somewhere in Alexandria, Egypt, the tomb was described as a beautiful monument made of treasures that included gold, silver, emeralds, and pearls. From 2008 to 2009, excavations were conducted at a site near Alexandria at a temple of Osiris. 27 tombs of Egyptian nobles, along with artifacts depicting Antony and Cleopatra, were found in the vicinity. Excavations remain ongoing, but the precise location of the legendary lover's tomb still eludes archaeologists. The disappearing PM. Harold Holt was the 17th Prime Minister of Australia, and he served for about 2 years, but he's probably better known for his mysterious disappearance in 1967. Holt was known as an avid spearfisher and owned a holiday home in Portsea, Victoria. He was vacationing there when he convinced a group of friends to stop at the remote Chevoit Island. It was a place that the PM had visited many times and claimed to know it like the back of his hand. Along with a friend, he entered the rough waters, but while his friend stayed closer to shore, Holt ventured into deeper waters. At some point, he was apparently caught in a rip current and abruptly disappeared from view. The disappearance sparked one of Australia's largest ever search operations, but no trace of Holt's body was ever located. Many sources speculate that Holt may have faked his death, or was collected by a submarine and defected to China. It took until 2005 for an inquest to judge that he'd accidentally drowned. That conclusion is commonly accepted, but even today, he is presumed dead, and the debate continues. The village that vanished. Located in Nunavut, Canada, Angikuni Lake is noted for its rugged, rocky outcroppings. It's also notable for being the location of a strange event that may or may not have taken place. In 1930, a newsman from Manitoba reported about a small village of Inuits that was known to welcome fur trappers who passed through. But when a fur trapper familiar with the village arrived there later that year, he claimed that all of the inhabitants had mysteriously vanished. When the Royal Canadian Mounted Police later searched for the missing villagers, no one was ever found. In the years following, the RCMP dismissed the case as an urban legend, and the story was largely forgotten. Did a village ever exist there? Tell us what you think in the comments below. The Saddle Ridge Hoard. Any location known as the Gold Country is bound to be named for containing a great amount of mineral deposits and gold mines, and that's the case with this region in the Sierra Nevada mountains of California. In 2013, a stash of more than 1,400 gold coins was unearthed there, with a face value that was just under $30,000. But when the historical value is adjusted, the coin's value jumps to about $10 million. Dating between 1847 and 1894, the treasure trove comprises the largest known discovery of gold coins in the United States. Sources indicate it was found on private property owned by a couple. They've chosen to remain anonymous, and the exact site of the discovery has never been revealed. The couple claims no knowledge of who buried the coins. Initial speculation involved the coins being part of a 1901 theft from the San Francisco Mint, but the U.S. Mint claims there is nothing that connects the Saddle Ridge Hoard with a theft of any of their facilities. While the couple has a deal to sell their gold coins through Amazon.com, their origin remains a mystery. Who do you think buried all that treasure? The Joyita Ship Mystery. Merchant vessel Joyita was in poor shape when it made news in the 1950s. It had rust-corroded pipes and a radio with faulty wiring that gave it range of only about 2 miles, or 3.2 kilometers. But the ship was built for extreme buoyancy, which made it nearly impossible to sink. In 1955, the ship was carrying 25 passengers and crew when it mysteriously disappeared in the South Pacific. It was discovered 5 weeks later, adrift and partially submerged, more than 600 miles off course. There was no trace of passengers or crew, and 4 tons of cargo had disappeared. An official inquiry found that while 3 life rafts were missing, there was no reason for the passengers and crew to voluntarily abandon the vessel. Explanations for the disappearance have ranged from the paranormal to insurance fraud. The mystery has yet to be solved and is often called the Mary Celeste of the South Pacific. Mayhaw Island. Have you ever heard of an island simply disappearing without a trace? That's what happened with Mayhaw Island, located northwest of the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. During the 16th and 17th centuries, the uninhabited island was a fixture on the maps of Spanish explorers. After that, the island seemed to appear and reappear on various maps until 1921. After that, it seemed to escape the notice of cartographers altogether. But interest in the elusive island resurfaced in 1997, when the area was thought to contain valuable oil deposits. But no evidence of the island was ever found. Many experts speculate that Mayhaw may have sunk into the ocean during the 19th century, as suggested by some British cartographers. Or maybe it was simply the result of a mapmaker's error, and it never existed at all. The wow signal. May 1977 was when the original Star Wars movie premiered, so maybe it's logical to assume that aliens attempted to contact us then. The Big Ear radio telescope at The Ohio State University was used in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. In August of 1977, it received a powerful narrow-band radio signal from the constellation Sagittarius, located about 5,000 light-years from Earth. When a researcher reviewed the recorded data, he noticed that the signal bore all the anticipated hallmarks of extraterrestrial origin. That prompted him to write the exclamation "wow" on the side of the printout, leading to the signal's popular name. It lasted for the entire 72-second window that the radio telescope had to record it. But despite many efforts, the signal has never been detected since. No suitable explanation for the event has ever been confirmed. Because of that, the wow signal is still the best candidate for an alien radio transmission ever detected. Do you think ETs really tried to contact us? Catatumbo lightning. There's only one place in the entire world where this atmospheric phenomenon occurs, over the mouth of the Catatumbo River in Venezuela. The ongoing powerful flashes of lightning occur on average up to 297 days a year, and sometimes up to 280 times an hour. Scientists think the phenomenon could be due to wind patterns and local topography. Thunderclouds could be formed by warm Caribbean winds crashing into cooler air from the Andes. That results in bursts of energy that could power every light bulb in Latin America. Although the lightning is subject of ongoing research, there's still no explanation why it occurs at only this one location. What do you think? The dancing plague. Historians identify dancing mania as a strange social phenomenon that was documented in mainland Europe during the 14th through the 17th centuries. The best-known outbreak occurred in 1518 in Strasbourg in eastern France. It started in July, when a woman began dancing fervently in the street. Within a week, more than 30 others had joined her, and within a month, some 400 people, mostly female, had joined in. Several people perished from strokes, heart attacks, and exhaustion. At one point, the dancing epidemic claimed 15 lives each day. After ruling out supernatural causes, local physicians theorized the epidemic was of natural origin and caused by, quote, hot blood. Bleeding wasn't prescribed, even though it was a common treatment. According to the doctors, the only cure was to have the afflicted people dance the affliction out of their systems. So a wooden stage was built, and musicians were employed to keep them dancing night and day. The prescription was a disaster and actually caused the dancing plague to spread further. Today, it's thought that the consumption of certain fungi with psychoactive properties may have been to blame, or it could have been a type of mass hysteria, but the exact cause of the dancing plague is still unknown. The Dyatlov Pass Incident. A mysterious attack occurred in 1959 that still has no concrete explanation. A group of 9 experienced ski hikers was trekking through the northern Ural Mountains. Having established camp, they settled in to rest. At some time during the night, an event occurred that caused the group to suddenly flee their campsite. Evidence suggested that the hikers tore their way out of the tents without adequate clothing for the heavy snow and freezing temperatures. All members of the group were later found dead. 6 perished from hypothermia, the other 3 died of injuries sustained from vicious attacks. Many theories, including some outlandish ones involving Yetis and military involvement, have been offered. The official conclusion was that the hikers' deaths were due to, quote, unknown compelling force. What do you say? The Lady of Dai. China is where you'll find the world's best preserved mummy. The Lady of Dai, or Shinzu, lived during the Han Dynasty and would have died more than 2,000 years ago. Her body was discovered on a hillside when workers were trying to locate an air raid shelter. Instead, they found a chamber that was so watertight that even bacteria couldn't enter. In the chamber was Lady Dai's body, wrapped in 20 layers of silk and encased in 4 coffins, sealed with clay. Scientists were amazed to find that her skin was still supple and she retained her original hair. Lady Di's internal organs still remained intact, and her limbs were pliable enough to bend. Researchers think her remarkable preservation had to do with an unknown liquid in which the body was soaked. It was mildly acidic and contained traces of magnesium, but aside from that, nothing is known about it. The longest-lasting lamps. During the Middle Ages, lamps that burned without consuming fuel were discovered in various places around the world. The lamps were sealed into tombs to help guide the deceased to the afterlife. When some of these tombs were opened hundreds of years later, the lamps were still burning. The phenomenon invoked superstitious panic in some people, leading them to destroy the lamps wherever they were found. A legend arose that Hebrew communities had actually discovered an energy source that we would later call electricity. Lamps that needed no wick or fuel could be lit remotely by using an electrical current. Maybe, maybe not. What is certain is that attempts to replicate the ever-burning lamps have all failed, so the ancient mystery remains. How did these lamps burn for so long without fuel? Thanks for watching this episode. Did you like the video? Tell us what you think in the comments below. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe.